What if I told you that the financial breakthrough you've been seeking isn't sitting in your bank account, not tied to a promotion, and not dependent on a lottery ticket, but hidden within a single psalm of Scripture? What if I told you this one psalm carries the ability to draw money into your life, remove financial burdens, and unlock doors you believed were permanently shut? And what if I told you this blessing is not far off in the future, but is already surrounding you right now, waiting for your faith to activate it? In just a moment, I'm going to reveal the exact psalm that can shift your financial direction. And I assure you, by the time you reach the final point of this message, your understanding of wealth, faith, and divine provision will be completely renewed. So stay with me until the very end, because that final insight could truly transform your life. If this message speaks to you today, don't keep it to yourself. Share your testimony in the comments so others can be encouraged through your faith. And if you haven't already, I encourage you to subscribe to this channel so we can continue growing together in God's Word and in the power of the Holy Spirit. When you like this video, you help spread the message further, bringing hope and healing to many lives. The spoken word shapes reality. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. Long before you and I took our first breath, long before money existed, long before kingdoms placed their faces on currency, there was sound, there was vibration, there was the Word moving through the unseen, forming structure, bringing order, and releasing light into darkness. The ancient scriptures tell us that God spoke and creation came into being. He said, "Let there be light," and light appeared. The universe did not resist. Creation did not question. Darkness did not argue. The word was released and manifestation responded. From this eternal principle comes a powerful truth. What is spoken in faith becomes the framework of your destiny. When you speak tonight, you are not simply reading a psalm as if it were just words on paper or sounds from your mouth. You are summoning unseen forces to align with your declaration. Your words are like seeds planted in the soil of your subconscious mind. And the subconscious does not argue, it does not resist, it does not analyze. It simply receives. The moment you speak, the inner soil begins to respond, to grow, and to produce according to what was planted. If you speak lack, it produces scarcity. If you speak fear, it produces limitation. But when you declare the word of God, when you speak his psalm with belief, the soil must produce abundance, because divine law cannot be reversed. Think of the breath leaving your lips as sacred currency. Every word is not wasted, but like a coin placed into the treasury of heaven. When you complain, you spend your wealth on emptiness. When you repeat fear, you invest in loss. But when you declare the psalm of provision, when you say, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not lack," you are making a deposit into eternity, and it begins to grow. The word carries its own authority. You don't have to struggle. You don't have to force anything. You only need to speak and believe. The word completes its own assignment, just as a seed fulfills its purpose in the ground. This is not ritual. It is not superstition. It is law. Just as gravity pulls things downward, just as the ocean follows the pull of the moon, the word produces its own result. When you speak the psalm tonight, you align your voice with heaven's frequency, and heaven cannot deny itself. Truth moves quickly to fulfill what reflects its nature, and wealth, which has always existed in the unseen, begins to take form in your life. Money that once seemed out of reach begins to come closer. Opportunities that once felt hidden begin to appear. Doors that once stayed closed begin to open, not because of your effort, but because of your declaration. You see, life responds not to your struggle, but to your voice. You can work endlessly, worry constantly, and still see little change. But when your words align with divine truth, results begin to multiply naturally. It is like a farmer who plants seeds and rests, trusting the process as growth happens unseen. He may not understand how it happens, but he trusts the law of sowing and reaping. The same is true for your words. You don't need to figure out how money will come or who it will come through. You only need to release the word, and divine law carries it forward, arranging situations, influencing people, and opening pathways until provision reaches you. The words you speak tonight are not ordinary. They carry divine authority. When you declare the psalm, you are not just repeating ancient verses. You are echoing the creative voice of God. The same voice that formed the stars now moves through your own words, carried on your breath. You become a co-creator with the divine, shaping your future. Heaven listens, the earth responds, and provision follows. Have you noticed how harmful words can stay with someone for years? Or how a kind word can instantly lift someone's spirit? If human words carry such impact, how much greater is the power of God's word spoken with faith? These are not empty sounds. They are living forces, sharper than a double-edged sword, breaking through doubt, removing lack, separating you from limitation, and connecting you to abundance. When you speak the psalm tonight, picture your words as beams of light cutting through financial fear, breaking through uncertainty, and destroying lack with every verse. See burdens lifting, debts disappearing, and provision flowing toward you. The word does not return empty. It completes its purpose. When you speak, you send it out like a messenger with an assignment, and it cannot fail to bring results into your life. The subconscious mind is like rich soil, and at night it becomes even more open and receptive. That is why speaking the word before sleep is so powerful. As your body rests, your inner being continues working, and the words you've planted keep growing in silence. Divine forces move on your behalf. Spiritual laws continue to operate while you sleep. The psalm becomes a living vibration within you, aligning your spirit with abundance, removing old patterns of lack, and creating new patterns of prosperity. And when morning comes, you rise not only refreshed, but with new opportunities already prepared for you. Never underestimate the power of repetition. Each time you speak the word, you strengthen the pattern of abundance within you. Every declaration imprints prosperity deeper into your being. Just like an artist carefully shapes a masterpiece over time, your words gradually shape your reality, removing doubt until abundance becomes visible in your life. The psalm becomes more than something you read. It becomes something you live and carry within you. The moment you speak with belief, unseen forces begin to shift. What was blocked begins to open. What was delayed begins to move. What was far begins to come near. Sound is not limited by distance or time. Your words travel beyond what you can see, influencing situations, opening doors, and drawing provision toward you. And provision responds because it follows divine law. It does not resist those who align with truth. It comes freely, fully, and abundantly. So tonight, as you speak the psalm, remember this. You are not just repeating words. You are creating. You are not wishing. You are directing. You are not begging. You are aligning. The words you release will not disappear. They will live, move, and take form. They will draw provision from the unseen into your visible world. Because spoken words shape reality. Money as divine energy. Money is often seen as cash, numbers, or possessions. People chase it, fear it, store it, or resent it. But few take time to understand its true nature. At its core, money is not just physical. It is a form of energy, a divine substance expressed in material form. It represents flow, movement, and exchange, much like electricity that travels through wires to bring light. Money flows through systems and brings ease and support into life. It is not the source, but a reflection of the source. To see money only as numbers is to misunderstand it. To recognize it as energy is to reclaim control over it. Everything visible begins in the invisible. Before money appears physically, the energy of it already exists. Before income arrives, provision is already present. Money is not created by humans alone. It is revealed through the deeper substance of the universe. That is why the psalm does not create wealth from nothing. It awakens you to what already exists. Even if you cannot see it, it is real. The psalm aligns your mind with that reality, removing inner barriers and allowing money to show up in your life in visible ways. This energy is not restricted by place, time, or conditions. It doesn't matter where you live, what the economy looks like, or how limited opportunities may seem. Money as energy responds to your inner state, not your external situation. When you feel aligned with abundance, money flows. When you are filled with fear, it pulls away. Speaking the psalm with faith elevates your inner state to match prosperity. It brings your energy into harmony with wealth, and in that alignment, money begins to appear in unexpected ways. Think of water flowing downhill. It moves naturally without effort, finding its way around obstacles until it reaches its destination. Money, as energy, behaves in a similar way. It is meant to flow. When blocked by doubt or fear, it becomes restricted. But when you open yourself through faith and gratitude, it moves freely toward you. Speaking the psalm at night clears those inner blockages, allowing that flow to return. There is a reason struggle and worry rarely create lasting wealth. When you see money as something outside of you, you create separation. It feels distant and hard to reach. But when you understand it as energy already connected to you, you stop chasing and begin attracting. You move from striving to receiving. The psalm becomes a statement of alignment, reminding you that you are part of a greater flow that is always supplying you. Money carries energy and also reflects the way it is treated. When it is feared, it diminishes. When it is held with anxiety, it stops flowing. When it is rejected, it resists. But when it is appreciated and respected, it increases. The psalm transforms how you relate to money. You begin to see abundance instead of lack, trust instead of fear, and gratitude instead of desperation. This shift changes everything. Money becomes a support, not a burden. There are people who work endlessly yet remain in lack, and others who seem to attract wealth with ease. The difference is not effort, but alignment. When you see money only as material, you limit it. When you understand it as energy, you access something limitless. Energy cannot be destroyed, only transformed. The same applies to money. Even when it leaves your hands, it continues to move and can return in new forms. The psalm helps plant this understanding deep within you, replacing fear with confidence in flow. You stop holding tightly because you trust it will return. You stop worrying because you know the source is endless. And you stop comparing because you realize the same source that provides for others is fully available to you. Imagine money as light. It shines through many lamps, yet the power behind it remains the same. Whether it comes as a salary, a gift, a business opportunity, or an unexpected blessing, it is all the same divine energy expressed in different forms. When you speak the psalm, you are not trying to control how money will arrive. You are opening yourself to limitless possibilities. You release the urge to dictate the path and instead place your trust in the source. That trust removes the pressure of striving and replaces it with a calm sense of expectation. And in that expectation, money begins to move. For it is drawn to faith, just as surely as iron is drawn to a magnet. Too long has money been misunderstood as a master, feared as something oppressive, or elevated as an idol. In truth, money is none of these. It is a servant, a symbol, a channel of divine energy. When you restore it to its proper place, you free yourself from being controlled by it. You no longer fear losing it because you understand energy cannot disappear. You no longer worship it because you know it is not the source, only a pathway. You no longer resent it because you realize it is meant to bless, not harm. The psalm restores this understanding. Each verse realigns your heart, breaks down false beliefs, and awakens truth within you. Money is divine energy, and as such it flows to you naturally, abundantly, and without resistance. Just as the body depends on healthy circulation, life flourishes when money flows freely. To block it with fear is like restricting the flow of life itself. To release it with faith is to open the pathways of abundance. The psalm spoken in the quiet of night becomes a divine remedy, a healing force for your soul, restoring the flow of wealth in your life. It calms the restless mind, soothes the anxious heart, and brings you back into alignment with the truth of divine flow. And as you rest, that flow begins to take shape, forming opportunities, connecting paths, and preparing blessings until money, in visible form, comes into your life as naturally as the tide returns to the shore. The psalm as a key of release. Hidden within sacred scripture are divine patterns, words that carry power not created by man, but given by God. A psalm is not merely poetry or history. It is a spiritual formula, a key meant to open doors that seem permanently shut. Within every line is energy, and within every word lies the seed of transformation. When you read a psalm with faith, especially at night when the mind grows quiet and the inner being becomes more receptive, you are not just speaking words. You are unlocking something that has long kept your peace, prosperity, and abundance hidden. The psalm is the key of release, the spiritual tool that opens what was closed, breaks what was bound, and frees what already belongs to you. Many people live trapped in invisible limitations. Though unseen, these barriers are real. They are not made of iron, but of fear, doubt, feelings of unworthiness, and limiting beliefs. A person may work endlessly and still feel stuck, as if pushing against unseen resistance, unable to break into freedom. The truth is, no amount of physical effort can break these barriers because they are not physical. They are spiritual, and only a spiritual key can open them. That key is the Word, and the Psalms are among its purest forms. Every verse carries the vibration of divine truth. When spoken with faith, that vibration begins to break apart the prison of lack, loosening chains, and opening the way to abundance. When you read a psalm, you align yourself with truth, and truth, by its nature, brings freedom. Freedom is not something you create, but something you uncover. Abundance is not something you invent, but something you release. The psalm does not place wealth into your life. It releases it from the unseen into the physical world. Imagine a river held back by a barrier, its waters building, waiting, ready to flow. The psalm is the key that lifts the barrier, allowing the water to rush forward, unstoppable and full. Wealth has always been near you, waiting at the edge of your life. But fear, doubt, and unconscious habits have kept the flow blocked. When you speak the psalm with faith, the barrier lifts, and what was once held back begins to move toward you with strength. There is a reason people find peace in the Psalms, even during difficult times. It is not only comfort, it is release. The words carry a frequency that untangles fear and makes room for divine flow. When you declare, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not lack," you are not only stating belief, you are unlocking provision, canceling the illusion of lack, and opening the storehouse of supply. You are releasing peace, opportunity, and abundance. The psalm is not just a prayer, it is activation. Think of a chest filled with treasure, locked for years. Many may see it, sit beside it, or admire it, but without the key, the treasure remains untouched. In the same way, wealth surrounds you, hidden in the unseen, waiting to be released. The psalm is that key. With each verse you speak, each declaration you make, the lock turns further until the treasure opens, and what was hidden begins to flow into your life. You do not create the treasure, you release it. You do not produce the supply, you reveal it. The psalm becomes a bridge between the unseen and the seen, between divine provision and your everyday life. At night, when silence covers the world and your mind begins to rest, the psalm carries special power. In that moment, the noise of thought fades, logic softens, and the subconscious becomes open. It is then that the psalm, spoken or whispered with intention, enters deeply into your inner being. There it works quietly, breaking down fear, removing resistance, and releasing currents of abundance that will appear in the days ahead. The night prayer is not lost in silence. It is strengthened in the unseen, sent forward as a key to unlock what belongs to you. Every psalm carries a unique frequency. Some bring peace, some offer protection, some bring healing, and some release abundance. When spoken, their sound reaches beyond the physical into the spiritual realm where higher laws operate. These laws recognize truth and respond immediately. Just as the right key opens a door, the right words unlock prosperity. What once felt impossible begins to shift, and what seemed distant becomes accessible because the correct key has been used. Consider this: the barriers in your life were not placed there by God. Limitations of fear and lack are formed by false beliefs, strengthened by worry, and reinforced by repeated negative thinking. Yet, divine truth has always provided the key. It was never meant for you to live separated from abundance. The Psalms are keys placed in your hands, waiting for you to use them through faith. The moment you speak them with belief, the barriers begin to give way. No false belief can stand against truth. Release is not always loud or dramatic. Sometimes it is gentle, a quiet shift within, a subtle opening. Yet from that small change, great abundance can begin to flow. You may wake the next day with a fresh idea, a new connection, an unexpected opportunity, or a door opening where there was once none. These are not coincidences. They are signs that release has taken place. The psalm has done its work. The key has turned, and the flow has begun. The psalm also frees you from inner chains. Because what value is wealth if the mind remains bound by fear? The words loosen anxiety, restore peace, awaken joy, and strengthen courage. As inner freedom grows, outer results follow. Money is no longer seen as a struggle or something to fear, but as a tool, a flow, a form of divine energy moving into your life. You no longer chase or cling, you allow. You no longer force outcomes. You speak and observe as doors open naturally. And so the psalm becomes both the key and the evidence of release. It is the action that opens the way, and the peace that follows confirms it. Each verse spoken in faith brings you closer to freedom. Each declaration moves you forward. Each word loosens resistance until the path is clear, the barriers fall, and what was always yours becomes visible. Faith cancels fear. Fear and faith cannot exist together. One replaces the other. Where fear dominates, faith cannot grow. And where faith rises, fear disappears. They are opposing forces competing for control of your heart. The one you choose will shape your life. Fear restricts, weakens, and holds back. Faith strengthens, moves forward, and expands. Fear closes doors and limits vision, while faith opens paths and reveals opportunity. Fear speaks of lack, but faith declares abundance. When you speak the psalm at night, you are choosing faith over fear, light over darkness, truth over illusion. Fear is misleading. It exaggerates problems, creates shadows, and convinces the mind that the future is uncertain. It focuses on debts, struggles, and closed doors, yet offers no solution. It drains energy, removes peace, and tightens the grip of lack. It whispers that you are not deserving, that abundance is meant for others, but not for you. Fear traps the mind in failure, weakens the will, and hides opportunities. In this way, it becomes a prison, keeping people separated from the abundance already available to them. But faith sets you free. It expands your vision, lifts your thinking, and fills your heart with confidence. Faith does not ignore reality. It rises above it. It looks at lack and declares provision. It sees obstacles and declares new paths. It hears doubt and responds with certainty. Faith calls into existence what is not yet seen. Where fear restricts, faith releases. Where fear tightens, faith opens. Where fear suffocates, faith gives life. The psalm spoken at night is a declaration of faith. Every verse cuts through fear. Every line protects against doubt. When you speak the psalm, you are not begging. You are strengthening belief. You are affirming truth that removes fear. You are reshaping your inner world, silencing doubt, and activating abundance. Fear may try to return, but consistent faith dissolves it, just as light removes darkness. Darkness cannot resist light. It simply disappears. In the same way, fear cannot remain where faith is present. Night is often when fear tries to grow. In the quiet, the mind can fill with worry. Concerns about money, uncertainty about the future, and thoughts of lack can become louder. This is why speaking the psalm at night is so powerful. It replaces fear with truth. Instead of entering sleep with anxiety, you enter with faith. Instead of negative images, you plant positive ones. And as you sleep, faith continues working, removing fear and planting abundance deep within you. Fear is rooted in the belief of separation. It tells you that you are cut off from supply, alone in your struggle. It's connected from support. Faith restores connection. It reminds you that you are linked to an endless source. Fear sees emptiness. Faith sees fullness. Fear holds tightly out of panic. But faith releases, knowing that circulation brings increase. Fear builds barriers, but faith creates pathways. It is impossible to fully step into abundance while holding on to fear. Fear contracts, and contraction cuts off the natural flow. Just as a tightly closed hand cannot receive anything new, a heart filled with fear cannot attract abundance. Faith, on the other hand, remains open, ready, and expansive. It makes room for money to enter, for opportunities to unfold, and for blessings to take shape. Faith declares, I expect good, and good comes toward me. Fear declares, I expect loss, and loss follows. The psalm retrains both your speech and your thinking to anticipate good. Every verse becomes a spoken expectation, a stand against fear, a bold statement that abundance is the only reality. The difference between a fearful prayer and a faith-filled declaration is significant. A fearful prayer begs and pleads, rooted in uncertainty, wondering if God will respond or provide. A faith-filled declaration, like the psalm, knows provision is already established, that supply already exists, that abundance is already present. It does not beg, it affirms. It does not question, it proclaims. And in that proclamation, fear is silenced and abundance begins to flow. Notice how fear limits the life of those who follow it. Someone afraid to spend becomes trapped by their own money. Someone afraid to invest never experiences growth. Someone afraid to dream stays confined to the limits of their current reality. Fear reduces possibilities until survival is all that remains. But faith expands possibilities. It gives you the courage to spend with gratitude, trusting that more will return. It allows you to invest with confidence, believing that circulation brings increase. It encourages you to dream, knowing that what is unseen can become visible. The psalm becomes the language of bold faith, the sound of expansion, the frequency of growth. When you speak the psalm, imagine fears as shadows on a wall. They may appear large and intimidating, but they are only illusions formed by something small blocking the light. The moment the light grows stronger, the shadows disappear. Fear works the same way. It seems overwhelming in the mind, but in the presence of faith, it has no real substance. The psalm is that light. With every verse, darkness fades, clarity returns, and you begin to see that abundance was always there. Fear only hid it. Faith reveals it. Faith removes fear not through struggle, but simply by existing. Just as light removes darkness without effort, faith removes fear by its presence. That is why it is essential to surround yourself with faith. Speaking the psalm aloud, letting its words fill your space, and allowing its rhythm to settle within you, invites faith into every part of your being. And where faith is present, fear cannot remain. It fades away, it disappears. In its place, peace grows, and from peace abundance flows. For prosperity thrives where faith is strong and fear is absent. Faith does not wait for proof before believing. It believes first and then produces proof. Fear waits for evidence of lack and then strengthens it. Faith steps forward into the unseen and finds support beneath it. Fear clings to what is visible and watches it slip away. The psalm, spoken with confidence, trains your spirit to walk in faith, to speak abundance, even when lack appears present, to declare provision, even when resources seem low, to claim victory, even in the middle of challenges. This faith produces the results it declares because the unseen responds to truth. And so each night, as you speak the psalm, you are choosing faith over fear. You are choosing expansion over restriction, abundance over lack, truth over illusion. You are dissolving fear, not by force, but through the vibration of truth, through the sound of divine words that recognize no limitation. And as faith strengthens, Fear weakens until it disappears completely. What remains is faith, guiding you into the abundance that has always been yours. Many people spend their lives chasing money as if it is constantly running away from them, always just beyond reach. They work harder, push further, and exhaust themselves pursuing something that seems to slip away whenever they try to grasp it. But money was never meant to be chased. Prosperity was never designed to escape you. By divine law, wealth is not something to hunt, but something that flows like a river. When you align with truth, wealth does not move away from you. It moves towards you. It seeks you. It finds you. It connects with you, because your inner state attracts it. The psalm spoken at night with faith becomes more than words. It becomes a magnet. Every word carries energy, and that energy has a frequency. Money, being a form of divine energy, responds to frequencies of faith, gratitude, and expectation. When you declare the psalm with belief, you send out a signal into the unseen, a call that wealth recognizes and responds to. You no longer need to chase. The word itself draws abundance toward you. You rest in trust, and provision finds its way to you. Think about how bees are drawn to flowers. The flower does not chase the bee or beg for attention. It simply blooms, releasing its fragrance and beauty, and the bees come naturally. In the same way, when your spirit blooms with faith through the psalm, abundance is drawn to you. You do not need to pursue it. You only need to remain aligned with truth. Speaking the psalm is your act of blooming, your expression of faith into the unseen. And in response, wealth comes. Chasing wealth comes from fear, from the belief that you are separate from provision and must pursue it before it disappears. But divine truth teaches that supply already belongs to you. Wealth is not hiding. It is waiting for alignment. When you speak the psalm, you declare that alignment. You remind yourself that abundance is natural, that prosperity is your inheritance, that money responds to truth. Suddenly, instead of searching for opportunities begin to find you. Instead of asking for provision begins to appear in unexpected ways. Wealth is not random. It follows principles. Just as a compass points north, wealth is drawn to faith. It naturally moves toward those aligned with abundance. The psalm brings you into that alignment. It adjusts your inner direction, connecting you with the flow of prosperity. And once aligned, wealth begins to come toward you naturally. Just as rivers flow toward the sea, just as light fills open space, just as sound echoes freely. This principle cannot fail. Wealth responds to faith and seeks those who embody it. Consider how often blessings appear unexpectedly. A gift arrives, a new idea forms, an opportunity appears, or a door opens without warning. These are not coincidences. They are signs that provision is moving towards you. The psalm does not create these moments. It prepares you to receive them. It teaches you to expect. Expectation is what invites abundance. A closed heart pushes wealth away, but an open heart welcomes it. The nighttime is especially powerful for this alignment. In the quiet, when distractions fade, your words reach deeper into the unseen. As you speak the psalm before sleep, you release signals into the spiritual realm. While you rest, those signals call in opportunities, provision, and increase. Like a lighthouse guiding ships, your words guide abundance towards you. And by morning, the process has already begun. You may wonder how wealth can come when no clear path is visible. But wealth is not limited to what you can currently see. It does not rely only on your job, your business, or familiar methods. It has countless ways to reach you. When you align through the psalm, provision begins to arrange itself, connecting people, opening doors, and creating pathways until what once seemed impossible becomes reality. Wealth does not require your effort to chase it. It requires your willingness to align, to speak, and to trust. Imagine standing in a field with the wind blowing around you. You do not chase the wind. You simply open yourself to it. You do not run after air. You breathe it in. Wealth, as divine energy, works the same way. It is already moving, already present, already seeking expression. The psalm places you in a position to receive it. You allow it to flow into your life. You do not struggle to create it. You open yourself to it. And when you open, it comes because it has always been moving toward you. Some people seem to attract money effortlessly, while others struggle constantly. The difference is not chance, but alignment. Those who receive have tuned themselves to abundance, whether knowingly or not. Those who struggle have aligned with fear, doubt, or limitation. The psalm changes that alignment. It recalibrates your inner state. Every time you speak it, you tune yourself to the frequency of prosperity. And once aligned, abundance recognizes that frequency and moves toward you. Wealth is not something to fight or chase. It is something that responds to readiness, openness, and truth. When you speak the psalm, you send out an invitation. You declare that you are ready, aligned, and open. And wealth responds to that call. It cannot ignore it. Your words draw it in. Your faith attracts it. Your openness welcomes it. The truth is, abundance has always been moving toward you, but fear blocks it. Doubt closes the door. And feelings of unworthiness hide the invitation. The psalm removes those barriers. It opens the way, clears the path, and declares readiness. And when readiness is present, abundance arrives quickly, fully, and clearly. It becomes the answer to your faith, the result of your declaration, and the evidence of divine principles at work in your life. Beloved, tonight you have uncovered a powerful truth, the strength of the spoken word, the reality that money is divine energy, the understanding of the psalm as a key, the principle that faith removes fear, and the truth that wealth does not run from you, but comes toward you. The psalm you speak is not just sound. It is energy, direction, an intention that reaches beyond the visible and draws provision into your life. When you align with it, money becomes a flow instead of a struggle, a blessing instead of a burden, something that comes to you rather than something you chase. This is the natural order. You are not meant to beg for abundance or struggle endlessly for what already belongs to you. You are meant to stand in trust, speak truth, and watch provision unfold. When you speak the psalm tonight, do it with expectation. Let each word be a seed planted within. As you sleep, unseen forces begin to work, creating pathways and opening doors. You do not need to understand how it will happen. You only need to believe that it will. The process belongs to the divine, but the decision belongs to you. So rest in faith tonight. Speak with confidence. Release your fears and trust that provision, opportunity, and abundance are already moving toward you. Drawn by your words, guided by faith, and attracted by your expectation, wealth will come. Abundance will increase. Prosperity will become natural to you, because the word, once spoken in faith, always fulfills its purpose.